All right, if you're used to streaming your microphone from a Windows client to a Windows server using applications like Parsec, and you've recently moved over to Moonlight, or you're just realizing that Parsec natively doesn't support mic pass-through from a Linux box, there is a workaround. Fortunately, we'll be using third-party software for this. You can go to audiorelay.net/downloads. Go ahead and grab the Linux binary there. I'm just going to illustrate that I do have it here in my downloads folders. So ls, we do have it here. So all you have to do is sudo apt install ./AudioRelay in whatever folder you ended up installing it in. It should be a next sort of installation. Doesn't necessarily require anything fancy. It's running here in the background, that's why it's not showing anything. But okay, so it's actually flipped when you're streaming the audio. You're used to the remote client being the server and the Linux box that you're in being the client. It's actually flipped. So the remote device is going to be the player. We are going to be the server because we're sending that information over. Now, if you need your IP address for whatever reason, this might be pre-filled. But if you run ifconfig, ignore this loopback, that doesn't help us here. Your private IP address here is what we're going to be using on the remote device. So make sure your audio device is also set accordingly. I'm using Yeti stereo microphone, that's all good. And then I'm going to launch Moonlight because I've recently moved away from Parsec. I also recommend Moonlight and Sunshine if you haven't tried that out already. Now, what I'm going to do is I already have AudioRelay launched, and it's actually already running. So I'm going to shut that down. You're going to run the installation. You're going to get it from the same exact website, audiorelay.net. Run it as normal. During the installation process, it's going to ask you if you want to set firewall rules. Keep everything as default, just next it. The firewall rules won't necessarily help us in this case, but one consideration is if you have a router or a firewall on your network and these two devices are for some reason on two separate networks, you may have to modify your access control policy accordingly. But if you put the firewall in the first place, obviously you know what to do with it. So have fun with that. Oops, that's not where we want to run it. So I'm going to launch AudioRelay. You want to make sure you do this, otherwise it's going to screw you. You want to make sure you run it as administrator. Otherwise it will not work. Now remember what I said, we want to be the player because this is where we're capturing the audio. You want to make sure you're set into mic mode, and that IP address that we have earlier, it's saving it, which is good for me, but you want to input this IP address here and then hit connect. Now this should show up, and if this is showing up, then you know that you've done everything successfully. If for some reason you cannot get this to work, then what I previously mentioned about firewall rules may be your use case, whether you have a network firewall or you have a software firewall running on the Linux client, like a UFW or something like that. But as you can see here, it's running perfectly fine. If you go to your Windows sound settings, you want to make sure that your virtual mic is set as the default device. And you can actually already see here, there's some audio activity going on, which means that this remote PC is capturing that audio. And then if we launch Audacity, and I verify my preferences are set up correctly. Yep, virtual mic is my recording. And if I hit record here, you can see that the waveform is showing up. And then if I hit play, if I hit record here, you can see that, there you go. So you can hear my wonderful, wonderful voice. All right, and that is pretty much all you need to get set up. Now, unfortunately, it may vary depending on applications. I know definitively that this works with Audacity and it works with Discord. Individual games, you'll obviously need to go into the sound menu and modify which input device you want to capture, but that'll be on a case-by-case basis. But if you're lucky, by setting it in Windows Sound as your default input device, then it should default to that and you shouldn't necessarily have to worry. But that's pretty much all there is to it.